toll roads? I don't know. Maybe we'll have a conversation about that. Oh, he is. Okay, cool. I guess we will have a conversation about that. Adrian Moore is with us. Adrian Moore, Ph.D., Vice President of Policy at the Reason Foundation, co-author of the book Mobility, or the, I don't know if there's a book or a policy statement, Mobility First, a New Vision for Transportation in a Globally Competitive 21st Century. You can find it over at reason.org. Adrian, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Tom. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. You are pitching toll roads. Do I have that right?
Yeah, I think that's reasonably accurate.
Privatized toll roads?
I think some of them, it's if a road that you're building that's going to be tolled will generate enough revenue for the private sector to make the investment, that makes a lot of sense because then the money that we have from the gasoline taxes and other things can go to roads that can't be tolled or can't be built by the private sector. And so it's a way of sort of dividing and conquering to make sure we get enough roads built.
So you're suggesting that we should turn our public roads over to corporations that typically, like in the health insurance industry, skim 30% off the top to pay their CEOs multi-million-dollar salaries, to pay billions of dollars of money into their stockholders, to have corporate jets with gold faucets in the washrooms, things like that. That we should do that with the commons of our roads. I understand the libertarian vision of there being basically no commons, but can you describe to me any country other than Somalia that has done this? And in Somalia, of course, as you know, it's not corporations who have tolls along the roads. It's local warlords who have checkpoints where you have to pay bribes to get past. But it's effectively the same thing. Can you describe for me any country where this has ever been done successfully?
Yeah, all of the freeways in France are toll roads,
and they're owned by private corporations.
That crazy conservative place,
and
yes.
they're owned by private corporations.
Yes,
that's pretty astounding.
Australia has an extensive network of private toll roads. The UK has a bigger network. France has the biggest network.
Yeah, France is
Germany,
also
Italy,
the lead of privatizing water. And not only their own, they've privatized the water of London, the Thames, and things. Although the British are starting to get pretty upset about this, it seems nuts to me. I mean, the French are also into nuclear power, which seems nuts. But isn't this really a 20th century debate when we should be having? And we're in the 21st century. Instead of debating how we're going to do our roads and what corporations we're going to hand our roads off to so that they can make money off, the average schlub trying to get to work, shouldn't we be talking about things like light rail and high-speed rail, things that the developing world is moving rapidly toward? China, India, Russia, all these countries are building high-speed rail and light rail systems that are very, very efficient and provide access for people to get to work.
Well, the things are not mutually exclusive, first of all, and as we grow, our populations grow, our cities grow. You have to have transportation infrastructure to get people from here to there. We've got to be able to be mobile in our cities. You mentioned my book. The whole premise of the book is that people've got to be able to get anywhere within a city within a reasonable time in order for them to function economically and socially.
Right.
So you need a transportation system that does that. Now, developing countries are, like you say, embracing rail transit increasingly. Interestingly, developed countries, so again, going back and looking at Europe, which built out their rail transit systems extensively after World War II and have very dense cities compared to the U.S., they're shifting away from transit to roads. The percentage of people who use public transit in Europe is declining each year as more and more people drive. The U.S. is already there. We sort of started that way after World War II. So the challenge we have with rail transit in the U.S. is that nobody uses it.
Well, actually, a lot of people use it in the dense areas like the Northeast Corridor, in the Pacific Southwest. There's a lot of places where it could work really well. I have traveled around France. It just suddenly occurred to me. I've driven French roads. I've taken the French train too. The LVT?
I've used the high-speed train there and everything.
Yeah, and that train is amazing. I mean, a couple hundred miles an hour just zipping across the countryside. I don't recall ever having seen a toll road in France. You said they're extensive. What percentage of the French highways are privately owned toll roads?
The entire equivalent of the Autobahn network, so the inner city freeways there are tolled, and around 70% of them, as I recall from the last data, are private.
So what percentage of the total highway systems in the country of France are privatized and toll roads?
Yeah, no, that I don't know, because I don't know how they count their.
Because what you just described is a slice of a slice. I know that there's in Atlanta they allowed a private company to come in and build a toll road when we were living there, and so you could say, okay, 5% of Atlanta's roads are, but that's not the United States. So
right.
So you don't have that statistic.
No, nationally, in the U.S., I do know that. I mean, one interesting statistic, I guess, and this isn't necessarily to do with private toll roads, but in the last 10 years, 1/3 of the new freeway capacity that we've built in the United States has been tolled. Now, much of that was tolled by government, not through a public-private partnership, sure. and a lot of it was public-private.
And a lot of this is because the gas tax was fixed at 18 cents, as I recall, not 18%. And so as the price of gasoline goes up and the use of gasoline goes down, the gas tax is producing less and less revenue.
That is just the federal gasoline tax. The states have their own. Also,
but whether your comment that Europeans are moving to cars and away from rail is accurate or not, it's not what I've seen when I get over there several times a year. What I see is trains that are absolutely packed to the gills, and high-speed trains and radically improving trains. But there are a lot of people on the highways. But right. Nonetheless, do we really want to be driving on roads that are owned by a corporation that's skimming 30% off the top?
Well, Tom, I mean,
or that's owned by David and Charles Koch.
I think about your day-to-day life. Are the things that work best in your day-to-day life the things provided by those evil private corporations, or the things provided by government?
The things that work best are having
day-to-day consumption is provided by our TV is provided by corporations, radio is provided by corporations, our computers we're talking on.
I don't think those things are the commons, but the internet was created by the government. You and I, however anybody is hearing us or seeing us, whether they're watching us on satellite TV or whether they're listening on a radio station or whatever, and our own personal communication is all going over the commons. It's all being, it's whether it's ISDN lines, telephone lines, satellite lines, whatever. It's all, part of the commons. It was created by government.
Tom. None of those things are commons. They're all privately owned networks.
No, they're not. The airwaves are not privately owned. They are the property of all of us. They are leased.
No, they're leased. Well, none of these roads are privatized either. They're all concessions. So the government retains ownership, and the private sector operates them on a long-term lease. Exactly like the spectrum, you could look at that as still being government-owned and privately operated, or you could look at it as a temporary property right.
I'm just very concerned about the loss of the commons here, and I Adrian, and I get it that the Reason Foundation and the libertarians associated with it don't basically believe in the commons. You guys think that billionaires and giant corporations should own everything, and we should be their wage slaves, I suppose. But I'm very concerned that if we start handing our roads over to corporations, the day is going to come when they hit such a monopoly that it's like, with television now, you get 200 channels, and those 200 channels are owned by 8 companies. And you really genuinely don't have
popular, Tom. Everywhere we have private toll roads in the U.S., their popularity is very high. We've done a lot of surveys on this.
Hang on just a second.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
That would have to be because they're putting toll roads in those places where they know that there's a lot of demand, and that's where they can make the money. But anyhow, Adrian Moore, Reason.org. You can read all about it. Adrian, thanks.